If you've followed the Z-Mang cinematic universe for any length of time, you would know that I am enamored with the Xenoblade Chronicles series. Ever since I played the first game on my good friend Mike's Wii U when we studied in Kyoto together, I've been a fan of the series. With the exception of Future Redeemed, I've cleared all the Xenoblade games and had a great time, for the most part. They are massive games with fun gameplay, epic stories, and top-notch production values. Even though I've praised most of the series to the heavens, as a fan of RPGs, there are so many games out there. Why stay limited to one series? So that's why I made this video, to give some recommendations on RPGs on the Switch that are better than the Xenoblade games. Some rules: the game has to be on Switch. Yakuza Like a Dragon is a masterpiece, but it isn't on Switch. It should be, but RGG doesn't want Nintendo fans to know what a soapland is. Also, the port has to be good. We can all agree that Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 are awesome games, but the Switch ports are so bad I had to get counseling from my therapist, Morgan. Morgan, you are a good counselor. As long as the game is on Switch and the Wikipedia article says RPG in the genre, it counts for this video. We're talking turn-based, action-based, old school, new school, and everything in between. There's a lot of game to cover, so let's get right into it. It would also be helpful if you subscribe to the channel and hit the bell as well for notifications on future videos, and be sure to watch the video to the end before you comment, okay? Okay. Also, there's no Persona on this list. These games are better than Persona.
These days, good weapons are need none. The master works all. You can't go wrong. You can't go wrong. You can't go wrong.
Thanks to Square and Nintendo having a falling out during the mid-90s and the system itself being a graveyard of cancelled titles, the 64 found itself with a lack of RPGs other than some one-offs that no one really cares about anymore. But the 64 did have a great RPG with Paper Mario. This title was originally going to be Mario RPG 2, but after the fallout with Square, it was retooled into Paper Mario. Charming is the word I would use to describe this title. It's a plot you've seen before. Peach gets captured and Mario has to save her and the kingdom. Where it shines is in the writing and the world building. You never got to see too much of the Mushroom Kingdom before this title, nor got to talk to any of the other races in the Mario games besides just jumping on them. Everybody has a lot to say and it's fun reading. It helps that the game has a great art style. Nintendo 64 games have not aged well graphically, to say the least. Paper Mario with its, well, paper aesthetic just shows that art style trumps graphical prowess any days of the week. It's a laid-back game that doesn't take itself too seriously, and it's not too difficult either. It's just a nice game, and that's all you need. I'm really glad that Nintendo is revisiting the second game on the Switch with the Thousand Year Door, because the Paper Mario games after that title were nothing but a heaping bowl of mid. Sometimes when you go back and play or watch stuff from your childhood and get past the veil of nostalgia, you realize that some of the stuff you liked as a kid didn't age all that well. Phantom Menace looked a lot better in 1999, and that Attack Attack album sounded much better in 2008. RPGs, perhaps more than any other genre, tend to age poorly thanks to underbaked mechanics, forced level grinding, or poor translations. Though some games have aged well, one of them being Phantasy Star 4. Sega took what worked from the previous Phantasy Star titles, ironed out lots of the issues, and made a galaxy-spanning adventure on the Sega Genesis. You play as hunters Chaz and Alice as they are called on to deal with a monster problem. What originally seems to be a basic extermination turns out to be something much bigger than the two, as they need to team up with other heroes and put an end to the evil Zeo. There is a bit of grinding to do, it was the rage back in the 90s after all, but thankfully you can use the macro system to customize your party and take out the monsters quickly and in style. By the time this game came out in 1993, Sega learned how to maximize the power of the Sega Genesis, and you could see that with the anime-inspired cutscenes. They get across the plot and characters as well as you could on a 16-bit system, and the translation still holds up. And that music is absolutely slappin'. The Genesis had a lot of bad soundtracks on it, but if you had a developer that knew what they were doing, you can make some amazing music such as Sonic and, well, the Phantasy Star series. Keep in mind, when this game dropped on the Genesis in 1995 in the States, this game cost $100 at retail. It better have played, looked, and sounded great. $100.
Well, this better be the best tasting beer in the world! You got lucky!
Phantasy Star 4 is a 16-bit masterpiece, and I can safely say that it's one of the best games of its time and one of the RPG GOATs. If you're curious, the other 3 games in the Phantasy Star series are also available on the Switch and worthy of your time. Just make sure to have a guide nearby. When it was announced that Fire Emblem and Shin Megami Tensei were to cross over, a JRPG that glamorizes the Japanese entertainment industry with loads of fan service was probably not what people were expecting. Set in Tokyo, you play as Aoi Itsuki, as he and his friends investigate the happenings around Shibuya and defeat the big bad with the help of Fire Emblem characters such as Chrom and Sita. Along the way, you hang out with friends, learn the ins and outs of the Japanese entertainment industry, explore dungeons, defeat dragons, standard stuff for Japanese high schoolers. I bought this game for the Wii U back in 2016 and loved it. I was surprised that this title even got a Switch port given how poorly it sold on the Wii U, but here we are. Atlus always knows how to make a stylish game. I mean, it's about entertainment, so it has to be a good looking and sounding game. And if I could give an award for amazing UI, Atlus would get that reward, and Ryan Gosling would present it to them. Atlus would also win the reward for having games set in Shibuya. This game came out right as I was about to move to Japan, so it was a nice teaser of what was to come in the next 7+ years of my life. Though it's totally inaccurate, as Shibuya is never this quiet in real life. There has to be at least one passed out person on the street to be accurate, and even during the pandemic, that part of Tokyo never rested. They also should have ponied up for some brand deals, like having the Tommy Lee Jones coffee be a power-up. This game revolves around high school kids, so no strong zeros here. That's for me. This game was built with Fire Emblem Cross Shin Megami Tensei in mind, and from a gameplay perspective, it takes from Atlus's other RPGs like Persona and Digital Devil Saga. It's classic turn-based RPG goodness where you really have to strategize if you want to make it in showbiz. Don't let the glitzy lights deceive you. This game can be as punishing as any Atlus RPG. I might have had to crank the difficulty down to easy just to clear it. Shameful, I know. Moreover to the point, it's just a well-designed game. One of my bigger pet peeves in JRPGs are quests or dungeons that take too long, Looking at You, the community section, and Torna. Every dungeon and side mission lasts as long as it needs to, and nothing in the game ever felt like it was dragging on for too long or felt like it was undercooked. On my Wii U save, I nearly cleared this game to 100% completion because I had fun doing all the side missions, which is impressive given how many side quests RPGs like to throw at you. You played the game, and you got rewarded with more power-ups and character interactions, and it was all enjoyable. When this game released back in 2016, most people couldn't get over the fact that Nintendo censored the game for the domestic release, which would also be the basis of the Switch port in 2020, because people really wanted to crank their hog to some 3D anime boobies. It hit a sour spot of controversy where people weren't going to buy it for censorship reasons, but didn't generate enough stink for people outside the bubble to care about it. Add to that the Wii U being a really poor seller, and this game was a bit of a flop. And despite all of that, this game has gained a bit of a fanbase who like the art and the gameplay, and I'm one of them. Don't let the weird premise and naysayers dissuade you. Tokyo Mirage Sessions is an excellent JRPG and one of Atlus's best. And here's a bit of lost media for you. The Japanese Wii U version of this title had Hot Springs DLC that wasn't localized. With the Wii U eShop going down, unless you had the data saved, the Hot Springs DLC will be lost to time. I could have made a reel or a short about that topic, but I don't think too many people on YouTube or TikTok are looking up Tokyo Mirage Sessions Lost Media, but they should. The indie scene became flooded with RPGs inspired by Earthbound that deconstruct the JRPG genre. While those games are objectively great, I kinda just hate those games because they sacrifice fun gameplay for plots that want to be edgy and make its point, while creating fanbases that redefine annoying. Thankfully, Sea of Stars avoids that. This is a throwback RPG to Super Nintendo games like Chrono Trigger in all the best ways. Set in the distant past, two warriors, Zale and Valerie,
take the moon and you take the sun,
and go on a quest to stop an evil alchemist from taking over. Not exactly the most original plot around, but it's a throwback. Something about this 2D pixel art never gets old. While I don't think a game like this could have been made on the Super Nintendo, I'm glad people are sticking with the 16-bit art style. Lots of vibrant colors, detailed sprites, and great lighting effects make Sea of Stars stand out in a scene filled with 2D graphics. The music is also bumpin', which is important for an RPG. Gameplay is also lots of fun. It's turn-based, but if you time your button presses, you can do more damage to your opponents, kind of like Earthbound or Paper Mario. It is a bit on the easy side, and there are some ideas that don't get as fleshed out as you want them to be, and it would also help to play the game The Messenger first, which I haven't. This is the newest title on this list, so I'm not sure what the general consensus is or how it will age over time, but I like it and I'm the one making the video. You can't talk about RPGs without bringing up the face of the genre, Final Fantasy. Most of the main games are on the Switch, and you can make an argument for any of the Final Fantasy titles that should be on this list. But for the sake of variety, we're only picking one title, and that title is 10. 10 was an early killer app on the PlayStation 2, and the title holds up very well to this day. Keep in mind, this game was released in 2001. Final Fantasy 8 and 9 were released on the PlayStation 1 in 1999 and early 2000 respectively. What a massive jump in graphical quality. A decade of experience in turn-based RPG development led to Squaresoft nailing the style in 10. It uses conditional turn-based combat, CTB for short. Don't change those letters around, it can save your life. Or make your night, I'm not sure what you're into. What CTB means is that what you do on your turn means how long you have to wait until you can move again. Do you use an item and move again sooner? Or burn in overdrive and hold out for longer? It makes for some thrilling battles. The sphere grid also allows you to customize your party to your needs for the trials and tribulations of the pilgrimage. The world in 10 is just great. There's a somber mood throughout the story as you travel across Spira to Zankarend and stop the cycle of sin. You get a lot of info from the main cast and they really stick with you, even after the game ends. This is also a love story, and the romance between Titus and Yuna feels natural, and by the end of the game you really want to see them happy together. The romance was better in 10 than a certain spoiler romance from Xenoblade 2, that's for sure. And yeah, the voice acting could be rough at times, but hey, it was the year 2001. We were lucky to get actual voice actors like James Arnold Taylor and John DiMaggio instead of whatever English speakers were in Japan at the time. A plot where a young man gets transported into a different time, befriends a character voiced by John DiMaggio, and wants to bang his co-worker. Sounds familiar. Add to that a world that slowly opens up with lots of side quests and blitzball to take on, and you have yourself a winner. The version for Switch I have includes 10 and 10-2 on the same cart, so I recommend getting this version if you can. Though this one is actually my favorite Final Fantasy game. The 7th generation was not kind to Capcom to say the least. Not to say it was all bad for them during that time. In fact, they put out one of their best games ever with Dragon's Dogma: Dark Arisen. This is unironically one of my favorite games ever. The game kicks off right away. You make your character, your sleepy fishing village gets attacked by a dragon, the dragon takes your heart, and you must kill it. Sounds easy enough. And from there, the world of Granzis is your burrito. You can go anywhere and do anything and see what adventures are out there. What makes Dragon's Dogma special compared to other RPGs is the combat. There are 9 classes in the game, and they're each fun to play as. You can keep it classy with a sword and shield, channel your inner guts with the warrior class and wield the biggest swords like toothpicks, or you can confuse and zone out the monsters with the Mystic Archer, which is a class that helps a lot in the dark and cramped hallways of the Bitter Black Isle. There's a weight to everything like Monster Hunter or Dark Souls, and at the same time it's snappy like Devil May Cry. And for the big lads, you can climb up them like Shadow of the Colossus and cut them right in the taint. Right in the taint. Throughout the game, you have a CPU ally called a pawn for support. Much like the player character of the Arisen, you can adjust them for your needs. I usually kept my pawn as a sorcerer for support spells and being an item caddy. Unsurprisingly, there are a lot of waifus for pawns. Guilty as charged. Okay, like you wouldn't bang your pawn? Let's be real about Dragon's Dogma though. It is a game with a crap ton of issues. You'll be fighting a lot of the same bad guys each time you venture out into the field. There's no mounts and fast travel was poorly implemented, so you'll be getting your steps in. Using consumables is a pain and you'll have way more items than you'll know what to do with. Capcom didn't know how scaling works, so you either one-shot everything or spend an hour chipping away at someone's health bar while you explode if they so much as look at you funny. That awesome song from Bees was removed from vanilla Dragon's Dogma to Dark Arisen. Bring back the cheesy J-pop for your games, Capcom, and the voice acting as well. It's just perfect.
Smite the foe. There's no deep trick to it, eh? An honesty to that there is. Come to think on it, you've got a bit of that feel to you too, eh?
With all of that said, this game is far greater than the sum of its parts. It's kind of like the Xenoblade games in that regard. They have a crap ton of flaws, but despite that the game's strong points far outweigh their bad. There's a reason why Dragon's Dogma has a devoted and active meme group on Facebook, plus ports to every modern system, and now a sequel slated for release in 2024. Plus, what other game can you throw bunnies, stab monsters in the nipple, and accidentally marry a prostitute? This game was originally 9 on this list, but it kept creeping up to here. I actually have a lot to say about this title, so I might make a Dragon's Dogma video before the second one releases. Oh yeah, there's also the Netflix series, which is only worth watching if you're so hungover that you can't move. Not saying that from experience. I know I had this game be number 2 on my Game of the Year list for 2022, losing to Xenoblade Chronicles 3, but I had a change of heart. The remake of Live Alive was the best game of 2022. I'm still blown away that this title was first released in the 90s for the Super Famicom. Trying to make a multi-genre game can be very difficult, but somehow, a game from 1994 did it beautifully. There's chapters based on fighting games, space survival horror, westerns, and even giant robots. All the chapters have their strengths to make them stand out from each other and not feel like you're doing the same thing with a new coat of paint. Like the Caveman chapter has more of a focus on slapstick humor, whereas the Ninja chapter is more serious and focuses on stealth. Just when you think the game is playing things straight, it pulls the rug from under you and brutally deconstructs the JRPG genre decades before the indie scene would do so. In fact, this game was one of Toby Fox's inspirations for Undertale. Everything leads up to a generation-spanning adventure with a massive payoff. I think Marty can explain why this game didn't do so hot back in the day.
I guess you guys aren't ready for that yet. But you kids are gonna love it.
The remake rebalances the title to be more accessible, as well as adding in a lot of extras. You can tell Square Enix had a lot of fun making this game. Did we need an anime-style giant robot opening? Yes. Yes, we did. The voice acting is also top-notch. I don't know where Square got these actors from, but hire me, Square, I want to be in a video game. Live Alive is an epic in every sense of the word, and a game that is a must-play for any RPG fan. The whole point of this video is for me to talk about Neo: The World Ends With You again. If you've been keeping up with the Z-Mang cinematic universe, you would know that I am very fond of this title. You play as Rindo while hanging out in Shibuya, the Booyah with his friend Fred. Their lives get turned upside down as they get pulled into the Reapers game. They start the team, the Wicked Twisters, and have to survive week after week and escape the game. From there, it's a wild ride of revelations, smiles, heartbreak, nightmares, development, and triumph. While not a generation-spanning adventure like Live Alive or a god-killing one like Xenoblade, this is a very personal journey. You see the Wicked Twisters address their personal issues and grow as people throughout their time in the Reapers game. Sometimes you don't need to kill a god for a great RPG, just seeing your characters grow as people is all you need. That said, you do fight some powerful figures in this game, but no spoilers here. I want you to play the game for yourself. I cleared this game back in 2021, but I always kept thinking about my time with the Wicked Twisters. Much like any hardship, it stinks going through it, but by the end of it you grow as a person. That was me in 2021 and why I usually looked hungover or tired in vids at the time. That year sucked for me, guys. But Rindo, Fred, and the rest of the Wicked Twisters and I made it through that year safe and sound, and we're all the better for it. This title was made for me. It's an urban RPG set in Shibuya, a highly accurate version of Shibuya at that. Fast-paced gameplay, lots of customization with the pins you get from erasing noise. I wonder what the Strong Zero pin would do. Top-tier production values, and what might be the best game OST ever. There's a reason why I use music from this game in my vids whenever I can. Square Enix really messed up the promotion of this game and it sold way worse than the first title. I didn't know that it released until a Discord friend told me about it. The first title was a cult classic, but has a legacy, so getting a sequel at all was a pleasant surprise. I hope Square learns from their mess-ups on the promotion on this game and revisits the title. Even if they don't, we got two kick-ass RPGs with the World Ends With You series. The first game is also on Switch, but be warned, the controls for the first title can be awkward in docked mode. Neo: The World Ends With You is a standout title in Square Enix's expansive library, and one that I want to see more of. Seriously, Square, did you just forget that you were making Neo: The World Ends With You? I knew more about Balan Wonderworld than I did about this title. Why promote the turd, bury the gold? I shouldn't have to go on a random Discord of only 20 people to figure out your new game release, Square! I need to calm down. Captain Morgan, take me away. You ever have one of those games or movies that everyone tells you is amazing, but for whatever reason you never got around to it? That's my relationship with Hades. And Keith, if you're watching this video, you owe me a drink. Yes, I am playing on the PlayStation, but this game is available on Switch. But the PlayStation 4 version was way cheaper than the Switch version. Save money for more games and drinks. After some time with this title, this game definitely deserved all the praise it got. It's a roguelike RPG where you play as the son of Hades, Zagreus, as you try to escape the underworld. Along the way, you meet other Greek gods and learn about their stories and why these mythological figures are so messed up. You learn that you can't run away from your problems. You and Zagreus have to learn how to take them head on, and to take them on, you're going to die many, many, many times. Originally, I thought this title was like,
You don't win, You just do a little better each time.
But each time I did a run through the underworld, I got a little further. There wasn't much in the way of in-game instructions, it was just kinda go out there and go. But after a bit of practice, I quickly adapted to the game's rules, finding new weapons and powers that would aid me on my quest. You die a lot, but it's a lot like Dark Souls or Cuphead where death just motivates you to break through it all. And for an independent title, the AAA production values on this game cannot be understated. The music fits the game perfectly and would be great on any gym playlist. It's on Spotify, which is a bonus. Hey Nintendo, put your music on Spotify, I want to do my squats to Fire Emblem music. The voice acting is top tier, they capture the emotions and personality of these legendary figures perfectly. And that's also another reward for making a run through Hades, the characters. In games like Dead Cells or Wo Long, I don't care about the plot, I just want to get out there and fight. In Hades, I wanted to know more about everyone because they are so fleshed out. I feel like you could have a conversation with anyone in this game and you'd be satisfied. If you look and act like Megara, DM me. And yes, you can pet the monstrous doggo, always a plus. Getting new dialogue for doing a run is a reward in itself besides fighting a bunch of monsters. Overall, Hades is a masterpiece that earned its praise, and I am kicking myself that I haven't played this game earlier. Can we get these developers to make a new Kid Icarus game? Every time I make one of these videos, I ask, wish, nay pray for some love for one of my favorite esoteric video game franchises. I probably am just yelling out into the void, but you never know that someone, somewhere, someday might hear my voice and give us some new Kid Icarus love or Skies Arcadia love. Here are some honorable mentions. From the moment I planned this video, number 1 was set in stone. In Japan, the Dragon Quest series helped codify and popularize the JRPG genre and inspire many popular games. Without it, we probably wouldn't have Final Fantasy or Earthbound. Most games in the series are solid, and years worth of experience have led up to what I consider to be JRPG perfection. In 11, you play as the Luminary. You venture out across the world of Adrea with a ragtag group of heroes to stop Mordegon and the Dark One. Despite that simple plot, it's a personal journey for the Luminary, as he learns about the world and his destiny. Along the way, there's tears, tragedy, and triumph, and there were actually a few points in the story where I teared up. Hey, we wouldn't be the hero if there wasn't sacrifice along the way. Variety is the key word here. By the end of the game, you get 8 party members to choose from, and you can swap in and out at any time. Everyone has a lot of skills to unlock and can be built for your needs. Dual-wielding swords as the Luminary? Yes please. This game throws in a lot of curveballs to keep you on your toes. If you want a challenge, you can mess around with the draconian settings and make the game as easy or as difficult as you want it to be. This is a game that is well over 100 hours long, and not once did I ever feel bored or that the game was dragging on. Moreover to the point, this game has something that is crucial to an RPG: character. Square Enix took a lot of time writing the English script, and it shows each character having fun dialogue that perfectly encapsulates their personality. Everyone has a good backstory and grows throughout the journey. You really do get attached to your party. Each region has their own culture to appreciate, and it only adds to the feeling of Adrea being a living, breathing world. And of course, you have beautiful and vibrant art. Akira Toriyama is the GOAT for a reason. Add to that weapon crafting and the casino for palate cleansers, Talkington quests, and the ability to play this game like a 2D RPG and a lengthy post-game, and you have yourself a winner in the JRPG genre. It's a game that I spent many a day and night playing, and it's a game that's going to stick with me for a long time. If you want perfection, look no further than Dragon Quest XI. If you know me at all, you could have seen number 1 coming a mile away. By the way, Square Enix, where's Dragon Quest XII news at? You've been really quiet on that front. I think the point of this video is that it's good to expand your horizons and try new things. If you're a Xenoblade fan, maybe try some other RPGs. I'm mostly a metal guy, but I like listening to hip-hop and electronic music. I like Nintendo games, but I also like Sony games, I like Sega games, I like all kinds of games. I'm normally a tequila guy, but got me some rum. So if you take anything away from this video, take away that, and I really hope this video doesn't come across as too gatekeepy, and if it does, well, sorry. But if the Xenoblade Chronicles series is your thing, that's your favorite video game series, good, I'm with you there, but don't be afraid to try something new. It might enlighten you. And with that, the video is over, so thank you for watching, everybody. So leave me some comments. What are your favorite RPGs? Doesn't have to be on the Switch at all. It could be any RPG ever. Let me know down there in the comments. And while you're down there, make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit the bell as well for notifications on future videos. As always, I'm active on social media, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, at Zmings, and I'll see you in the next video. Later, everybody. Take care.